Today we're going to be putting together this IKEA shelving system. It is the Havsta, I'm not sure how to say it exactly, but we're going to be putting this together to go on this wall so we can store books and things like that in it. It actually has doors on both the top and the bottom, so we can close those off so that you don't have to kind of see the mess in there. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I have a few other assembly videos where I put together other IKEA furniture. You might find those interesting. So let's go ahead and get started. And now that we're unpacked, let's go ahead and get this thing put together.
All right, you're going to start by putting your pegs, your dowels, into the ends of the side panels. Now I'm actually starting with the upper unit first. So you put your dowels in the ends of these side panels, the ends opposite these holes. Then you come back on this end and you're going to put in these pegs. These are what the screw-in catches catch onto, which you'll see in a second. You'll get 3 of these in each of these side panels. Screw those in just down till they're snug. For the top panel, it has this, the bottom panel. This is the bottom panel. It has this wood grain on one side that will go toward the bottom of the unit. This panel, the bottom piece, is slightly narrower than the side panels because the back panel actually slides in over the top of this piece. This piece will get a couple dowels in each end of it. Then we're going to set this panel into the end where you just put the pegs, the metal and plastic pegs. It has like a chrome and a gray plastic. Those actually slide into the ends of that board you just saw. These are the screw-in catch pieces, and these tighten in from the bottom side of that board. In this section, the board is actually upside down here. I switched it around before I installed it permanently, but it should actually be facing the outside of the cabinet. So don't make that mistake. Tighten those up. They tighten maybe about a quarter turn or so. They don't tighten a whole lot, but you can kind of usually feel them click into place. The top of this this rectangle actually gets more of those pegs, same metal and plastic. It'll get 3 down each side. And you can see there's a groove across the top of this. Make sure that the groove in that lines up with the groove in each of the side pieces. They should all be facing the same direction. You can see that groove lines up right there. Those pegs slide in. You can kind of see the dowels sticking out the bottom of those sides. Gives it a little more stability there. More of those pieces. We tighten those down. And that basically just snugs that top panel up to the side panels. You got 3 of those down each one of those sides. Now once you have that, this rectangle is actually pretty sturdy. But the next step is to put the back on. It's a very thin board. There's a smooth side and a rough side. I put the rough side toward the back. I wanted the smooth side inside of my cabinet. To be honest, I didn't actually look to see which side was supposed to go in and which side was supposed to go out. You will notice I'm pointing out here there's a notch, kind of a notch. It's like a sloped edge on one end of this back piece. And that allows it to snug all the way up into the top of the cabinet. So you want to make sure the side that you're sliding in first has those slightly angled corners. Now next, we're putting these plastic pieces in into the holes across the bottom of the back panel. The first piece just slides in. There's no force or anything. The next piece just snaps into place. I thought I needed to use the hammer. I tried that. It's actually harder to do this with the hammer than it is just to push them in by hand. So I would recommend just doing it that way. It can be a little difficult. They try to kind of bend on you, but you can figure it out. These pieces, this is another different kind of a little snap together bracket. The thin piece slides down into the thicker piece. You'll see that the thick piece has kind of a half moon shape to it. So you want to take that half moon and put it so the flat side is against the back panel, and then it should slide into place. And then the thinner piece just snaps right up into the middle of it. You'll see that there's kind of a cut across the width of that piece, and then that side, the thinner piece just snaps right up into it. And you should have, for this top piece, you should have 9 of those. There should be 3 down each side, and then 3 across the top. And it should feel pretty sturdy at that point. Now I'm going to jump straight to the bottom unit here and go ahead and get that put together. It is essentially the exact same process as what we just went through for the top. In the side with the large holes that are facing up, that side gets the dowels. Get those dowels into place. The other side gets these pegs, the metal pegs. You should have 6 of those total, 3 in each board. And then you get the wood grain piece. You're going to put your dowels in that. Should have 4 dowels in this part. Again, that the wood grain faces out. You don't want that facing the inside of your cabinet. And then you put your locking clamps in. And again, about a quarter turn usually does it. And you should see the side panels snug up to the bottom panel. Next, we do the top panel. Again, we're going to need our pegs. You get 3 down each side of the top panel. And once again, you just want to make sure the grooves are all aligned when you're putting this together. It can be a little tricky to get all of the pegs to line up. Take your time. You don't want to snap those off, so just make sure you're allowing those to line up before you really try to snap them together. Then you're going to put in the screws, the screw-in kind of clamps down the side of the inside of each one of those side panels. You should have 3 down each side, and that just holds the top panel to the side panels. All right, same thing with the bottom unit. You want to make sure those holes that are drilled through it face or on the same side as the wood grain board. You want to make sure the angled corners are on the opposite side so that it will fit into the groove of the top panel. And again, we just take our white little clips. Should have 4 of those across the bottom here. Put the larger one in first, and then you just snap the thinner piece into place. Just like that. Now this is the bottom, the support, basically the base for the lower unit. It goes together the same way as the other rectangle. Find your 2 larger holes. You're going to put your pegs in each one of those. And then you're going to have 2 pegs, 2 of these metal pegs that go in the top. I'm sorry, earlier the dowels are what you're going to be putting in the ends of the boards. The pegs go in the side. And then same as the rest of it, you use those little clamps, the screw-in clamps, to tighten it all up. And you'll notice that one side of it sits inside of the side pieces there. You can see they stick out past the back piece, and that just basically matches with the base unit. Then you're going to put these angles, the angle brackets in. They actually go in with those same plastic pieces there. Let's snap those into place. And these actually hold really well. I was actually surprised at how rigid everything was after I snapped it together with these little, pegs. Pretty impressive. And then once you have your angle brackets in place, should be 4 of those. You're going to put your dowels in those remaining 4 holes in the top of this frame. Turn the unit on the side so you can get this attached. Make sure the back has the wood grain piece sticking out. The front piece should be white to match the rest of the cabinet. Line up your dowel holes. Get that slid together. And then you just put the little pegs into the base of the unit. Same as you did when you put the angle brackets on earlier. And just snap into place. Now you got your little feet. The plastic pads just really kind of push on. I did have to use a hammer a little bit to get those on. Slide right up in there. And then the front feet will actually allow you to adjust the cabinet if it's leaning forward. Maybe the floor is a little uneven. I just tightened mine all the way up. Mine's going on carpet and it's a level floor, so I didn't really need to adjust those. Next, you got these plastic little brackets here. These are also for leveling. They snap into the back. If you look right at the top of the back, you'll see some holes there. They should, when you snap them into place, you kind of saw there, I covered up a hole that goes through the back panel. The hole in the center of this bracket should actually line up with the hole in the back panel. So just make sure you're putting it in the correct holes to have those line up. Now we're going to put these stops in. These basically just stop the doors when you close them. Something for them to bump into so they're not just hanging free. And now we're going to put in the stops for the top of the doors. I didn't tighten these all the way up so that I could adjust them. They do have a slotted hole so that you can adjust them to where your doors actually need to stop. So, and they do come with a couple little rubber pads to make it nice and quiet when the door closes. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those on here. That's what they look like. Now we're going to put on the shelf supports. You'll notice one side has a little notch cut out of it. One side is completely round, cylindrical, and then the other side has that notch. I think you can kind of see it there on camera. The notched side is what goes into the hole, and then the cylindrical side goes up, because that cylindrical side will actually fit into the bottom of each one of the shelves. Let's just slide into place. Obviously you can adjust them. There's 3 holes there that you can put it in, depending on the height that you want your shelves. So just adjust those accordingly. Make sure all 4 of them are in the same, at the same level. Now there's a difference in the hinges that you get with this. One of them has a gray piece that goes on top. The one without the gray piece goes to the bottom. You can see here there's kind of there's a gray little tab right there right close to my hand there, and that you can kind of see. It's hard to see. It's a slow close hinge, so that these doors will close slowly. You want to have the slow close hinges on the top of the doors. So pay attention that the hinges that you put at the top of each door have that little gray piece of plastic kind of sticking out of where the hinge pivots. The holes are pre-drilled for the hinges. So you just tighten those up, make sure your screws are lined up with the pre-drilled holes, and then just tighten them down. Don't over tighten them. You can strip out the holes very easily, so just snug it up and leave it. There you go. You can see the door closes slowly because of those hinges. And now we put the handles on the doors. Snug those up. And then the left handle. There are adjustments that you can make with the hinges if your doors don't align just perfect. I'm not going to show those here. The instructions are actually pretty clear, surprisingly, on how to adjust those hinges. So pay attention to the instructions if your doors are not exactly level. Then you take the top unit, you set it on top of the bottom unit. Don't do this by yourself if you're not able to lift it up. I don't know how much it weighs, but it's a little heavy. So if you don't feel comfortable picking it up by yourself, get some help. Have somebody help you set it up there. There's a little bracket that you get. That bracket is just a little piece of tin or aluminum or something. It'll slide inside of the side panels, and it fits right over the where the top and bottom units fit together. There are 4 holes in the side panels on each side, 2 in the top, 2 in the bottom unit. And the holes in these brackets line up with those side panel holes. And then the plastic clips, basically those little plastic pegs that you use to put the back panel, you used them on the bottom of the back panel, you used them for those angle brackets that mounted the base to the unit. Those just slip into each one of those 4 holes. Then there's a hole straight through the middle, and so right here I'm putting a screw straight into the back of the unit through those brackets. And this unit is solid. It feels very solid. It's not wobbly, it's not loose with the connection, so I was very happy with how that turned out. So now I'm basically doing the same thing with the top unit that I did with the bottom unit, just completing the assembly there. So these bottom stops for the doors, putting those in. Also put the angled stops on the top. Put my shelving supports in. Go ahead and get those into place. Now this top unit actually comes with 3 shelves, so you'll have, what is that, 12 of the shelf supports that you're going to need to put into place for this top unit. 4 for each shelf. And remember that peg with the side of this support with the notch, you want to put that into the side panel so that the part that the shelf will sit on is the cylindrical piece, and that's going to stick up. And these should slide in pretty easy. They were a little snug, which is great because that actually will keep them from just falling out of the side if you ever take the shelf out and have to move the unit or whatever. They were pretty snug when I put mine in. All right, now we're moving on to the doors. Exact same thing as the lower unit. Make sure that the self-close, the soft close hinges are on top. Those will have a little gray piece of plastic, looks like, in the middle of them. The bottom hinges do not have that. Tighten them up into the existing holes, just snug it in there. This may actually be a good bit easier if you do have help putting this together. Somebody can hold the door for you while you're trying to screw in the screws into the hinges. That might help. top shelf. We'll put the bottom shelf in here. Then I'm going to put on the right-hand door. Same as the left. 2 screws. And the screws actually come in the hinge. You're not looking for loose screws there. They're actually in the hinge already in the box. I'm going to put on my handles. Close the doors. And I forgot to put the little plastic pads on the top stops, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I just push it in, hold it in place for a minute just to make sure get all the air pockets out of it and that sort of thing, so it sticks real well to that angled stop up there. That's what it looks like. Now on the back, same as the bottom unit, it has these little adjustable feet, for lack of a better word, that go up against the wall. You can adjust the level, the plumb of the unit. If front to back it's not sitting exactly right, it's not touching the wall, these have a hole through the middle of it that you can actually put a screw into the wall through this hole, through this entire bracket from the inside of the cabinet. I didn't show that part, but I did actually mount these, screw these to the wall through this bracket. And here we go. Here's the finished unit. And I actually have 2 of these, put them side by side, and I've been very happy with how they turned out. I appreciate you watching. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the video if it helped you out. Leave me a comment if you have any questions about this project. I'll be happy to help you out. Hope to see you around again real soon.